And I think I've found it. In the endlessness of I-87 heading toward New York, I experienced a fully peaceful moment. The road curved right. The Benz's bow drifted along its centerline. From a dozen metal speaker grills, always on my mind, by Willie himself poured forth, a light pulsing in the seat following the tune. Massage seats hummed away, the noise of the outside world distant in both time and presence. The world catapulted by with speed yet no urgency, like the view from the window of a countryside train. That same sort of perfect stillness, in motion. Everything else simply melts away. These moments are why this car exists. Perhaps it's too much money. But for those who have too much money already, no other car will serve them up such effortlessness. The whole point is to provide the comfort and refinement necessary to make the car fade away around its driver. To achieve that, expect every possible technological technique to be deployed. So the suspension is not just adaptive but predictive, scanning the road for bumps and preparing to dispatch them with minimal intrusion. Its dampers and springs are both adjustable, with settings ranging from impossibly soft to divine. Body control in the corners is phenomenal given the size. But what on earth am I rushing for? Surely my destination isn't as nice as this car's cabin. The simplicity of the interior, as seen in photos, does the actual presentation almost no justice. For all its clean lines and graceful surfaces, the S-Class bombards its owner with signs of its superiority. The below-the-belt surfaces are soft touch, the gaps on the darkest panels nearly seamless. I find myself forever entertained here, entranced by a wart hunt yielding precious little to complain about. It doesn't matter whether I investigate the damping of the switches, the rigidity of the floating center panel, the complexity of the stitching, or the etching of the speaker grills. The result is always the same, undeniable evidence that someone, probably deep in the bowels of a German office, cared enough to do it right. Living by the details does, however, expose you to dying by them. The more I watch the speakers delicately twist and extend as the system comes online, the more I'm confused by how annoying the right touchpad on the steering wheel is. How could a company smart enough to deny automated lane changes when the lines on the road are solid be so foolish as to devote a sizable portion of the steering wheel to this? It's a thumb-sized pad with the precision and delicacy of a falling anvil, and it's tasked exclusively with controlling a center stack 6 inches from my right hand and clearly designed for direct touch control. At least the leftmost touchpad has a useful purpose, as it's used to compel the dizzyingly configurable instrument cluster into quasi-submission. Such minor disturbances occasionally creep into the driving experience, reminding me that even the creators of true greatness remain mortal. Death and failure are inevitable. Might as well suffer one's fate in quilted leather. Even here, though, driving through corners that no luxury limo should traverse this quickly or with this much composure, I'll occasionally find a transmission that loses track of what to do. The off-throttle to partial throttle transition catches the Benz off guard. The engine, disconnected from the wheels for efficient coasting, suddenly reacquaints itself, producing an uncomfortable shudder. It is perhaps the only time I notice that there's an engine to speak of. Forget the electric S-Class, or don't, I could have been in it for all I knew. The S580's biturbo V8 oozes its 516 pound-feet of torque onto every surface, blanketing the car in supple power so inexhaustible and silent it feels beyond the reach of mere time. This engine does not make 496 horsepower now, or in an instant. It makes power in one unending stride that started with the Big Bang. Prodding with my right foot just grants access. It was always waiting for me. This aura of unstoppability extends to the corners. I enter with more speed than feels comfortable and begin my pontification, wondering if the S-Class will flop or skid or shudder or panic. Yet it simply drives round. The limits are beyond where I expected, and I accept I'll never quite reach them. Or that I'll want to. I could go faster, sure, yes, but doing so would simply undermine the whole experience. The constant story of calm serenity that began at my first acquaintance with the S580 and which shall conclude probably never, or perhaps at the hour of my passing from this mortal vale. But surely, nothing I'd ever actually want to do in this life could possibly upset it. Indeed, this automobile's largest failings are in overambition. There are some problems our technology cannot solve. The S580's active driver assistance and lane-keeping system is world-class, truly among the best ever offered. Yet it is still functionally infuriating and fundamentally flawed, in that it is only useful if I trust it. But legally and realistically, I should of course never trust it. There is no way to know if a bend will be too steep for it until it abruptly gives up. No way to know if it sees the driver cutting in until it clearly doesn't. The S580 tries to pacify the driver with a Tesla-like view of what the car's seeing. But if the goal is to make you feel safe, it's counterintuitive. It fares better on a straight highway, but even then, it often flashes an aggressive reminder to keep my hands on the wheel, where they already are. To confirm they're in fact there, I must provide steering torque, steering away from the center of the lane so the robo-driver can steer me back. Nothing like a car that gives you homework. It's the same with the endless series of warnings and chimes. Part of this car's mission is to make you as calm as possible. The S-Class tries to accomplish this by sharing in all of your stress. You don't have to worry about forgetting your key because the S-Class shouts, "For the love of all that is holy, remember your key. And in the name of the Lord Almighty on high, remember to take your phone from the charger." Then there are the reminders of nothing at all, more nervous conversation than anything. "Hey, are your hands still on the wheel? No reason to believe otherwise, just checking," and, "Hey, you've been driving for 45 minutes. Do you want a refreshment program?" With the unofficial subtext always, "Look how clever and thoughtful I am." I've never seen a stress ball racked with its own anxiety, but the S-Class is a passable simulation. The great news is that all of this over-the-top relaxation as medicine chakra locating nonsense really does work. I sneer at the S-Class for suggesting I indulge in a revitalization program, yet the experience itself is amazing. The massage seats, ambient lights, infotainment display, and music all fall in sync, overwhelming my senses in a way that dispels all other thoughts from my crowded noggin. And so I let it wash over me, let the traffic bunch and disperse as it will, let the trees flicker by, let my mind enter a trance-like state of total focus. It is the road and the music and the lights and nothing else. It is a present-minded serenity you can't find in your office, your crowded city center, your buzzing home. The mood that envelops you when you sit by a babbling creek or stand atop a quiet mountain, presented here for you on a busy stretch of interstate. Total contentment. It's not the 4 wheels and a motor that make an S580 worth $142,640. It's that